Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Blacklogic. So, a lot of people are mad at Donald Trump because the pardon of over 1,600 January 6 protesters, rioters, and insurrectionists. And a lot of Republicans are coming out with their disdain about his action. We'll get into it. But most likely, the entire world is in an uproar over a lot of the sweeping legislation that Donald Trump has made because of his series of immigration policies to protect the American border and another executive order to end birthright citizenship. That has a lot of people questioning the 14th Amendment and are there any loopholes where he has the legal right to do so? So his first full day back in the Oval Office, President Trump wasted no time implementing what it called a very vast series of executive orders aimed at fulfilling his campaign promises. He announced that the United States withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreement and the World Health Organization. And the World Health Organization director came out stating that they have been partners with the U.S. to cure the world of polio and other mass diseases that essentially infected the entire world. But because of this legislation, America still has to pay their bill for this year because we have to give the World Health Organization at least a year prior to withdrawal from the organization. Signaling, and a lot of these things has really signaled a shift in the nation's stance on climate change and global health collaboration. I wonder if this has to do anything with the energy crisis that Donald Trump has initiated as well, and how a lot of these organizations and treaties and partnerships that we have internationally with other countries prevent us from doing things in America. So again, I believe there's a method to the madness. Also, birthright citizenship for children of illegal immigrants, a move that is expected to face significant legal challenges. Now, there have been a lot of people from certain communities that come out and spoke out against this, stating that if you are born in the United States of America, you are a citizen. Well, this is essentially stemming from being tethered and anchored in the United States of America. How can your child be legal when you are illegal? That means I don't want to make it seem like, people who are immigrants are not human beings. They're absolutely human beings. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who come over here the wrong way are still good people. They're coming over here for economic asylum, not most with political asylum, but I know a lot of people still label them as criminals or lawbreakers, okay? Because criminals, yeah, if you break the law, I guess you are a criminal, right? But and then in second glance, aren't we all criminals? Don't we all speed? But we're citizens of the United States of America, and you'd be absolutely right. And I get what you're getting at. What I'm stating is this. If you come over as an illegal immigrant and you have a child, anything, and I don't want to act as though these Homo sapiens, these human beings are objects, okay? But again, shouldn't everything in you, out of you, belongs to you illegal as well inside of the country? I don't know if I said that right, but I believe you guys are smart enough to understand what I'm getting at. Shouldn't your child be illegal as well? And I think, again, using the American Constitution with a lot of the loopholes that exist, this is what a lot of people from other countries are doing. What about the $500 billion that Donald Trump has invested in the AI infrastructure in partnership with SoftBank, OpenAI, also known as ChatGPT, and also, Oracle? So again, Donald Trump is doing a lot of bold changes and bold moves to strengthen America economically and on the national security front. Now, a lot of these rapid policy changes have elicited strong reactions from both domestically and internationally. Several states have initiated legal proceedings to block the implementation of certain executive orders, mostly those related to immigration. International allies and organizations have also expressed concerns over the U.S. abrupt policy shifts. They knew this was coming. Donald Trump, I'm pretty sure in business and negotiating, businessmen in negotiating always bluff. But him being the president of the United States for the second term, for the second time, being the 47th, He wasn't bluffing at all. He said that he was going to do a sweeping pardon and commutations of the January 6th incidents and those people involved. He did that. He said he was going to sign multiple immigration policies to get illegal immigrants outside of the country. He did that. So again, nothing he said so far is bluffing. Now, the only thing I realize, I'm hearing reports that some of the tariffs percentages may have been reduced back down to 10%, because at first it was 10%, then he raised it to 25% because he believes that China is infusing illegal activity of having illegal substance like fentanyl, very deadly substance, to come into America. So he said he was going to impose 25% tariffs, just as well as Canada allowing illegal immigrants from the northern border down into Washington and Oregon to come inside of America. But he may have decreased that from some of the reports that I'm hearing. Now, when it comes to the January 6th rioters, we have to understand that a lot of Republicans have come out against this, stating that a good portion of these people. Now, again, I want you guys to stay with me. This is my conjecture about the January 6th incidents. If I had to break up everything in a third or 25%, there were those who were protesting, there were those who were rioting, and there were those who were actually insurrectionists. Because not every single person who was there entered the Capitol. Not every single person that was there was destroying and defaming government property. But a lot of people are talking out against this because of all of the violence that has not been essentially shown. So you have people coming out from the GOP like Aaron Burnett. How can you defend people like that? How could you defend people who did these acts against America?
I want to talk about your feelings about it. You talk about these as officers, you know. You were there. You say it's a riot. You were yelling in rioters' faces. You were blockading a door as they were attacking the Capitol. And you've talked about what you saw, right? You've talked about what you saw, that you walked in a room and saw people that had officers that had broken limbs, noses broken. You talked about it yourself. Let me just play some of that.
I hollered at him and I says, I'd put you down. And I said, I'd put you down. And the guy looked at me and he says, this is our house. I said, it's our house too. He says, yeah, but this is our effing house. And I said, it's our house too. And we're not going to let you come in.
And that was an exchange, Senator, that you described having with one of the rioters. In the context of what we're talking about here, just this particular pardons, how can you defend people like that?
I am not trying to defend the individuals whatsoever. That's not what I'm trying to do. And I get what you're saying by jumping off a bridge. I'm saying things changed when President Biden did what they did, and both are equally bad. And neither one should be assaulting police officers at any time, especially those that Biden pardoned that killed each other, or that killed officers. Now, going back to what happened, it was a horrible day, Aaron. I said it was a horrible day. However, the American people have chose to move on. That was evident with the overwhelming support that President Trump got November 5th. And he did not hide his disdain for the Department of Justice, who was openly targeting individuals. Keep in mind, over half the individuals that was pardoned here, Aaron, were people that got misdemeanors for parading on public lands and picketing on public lands. And you know that to be a fact.
Senator, yes, and we knew that he was going to pardon those individuals. I don't think anybody was under any illusions about that, right? But the ones who did the violence, when you heard Officer Fanone talking about 6 individuals who assaulted him, the officers that are your friends who are on the receiving end of this, what do you say to them today?
Well, I mean, Aaron, I don't mean to be beating a drum here, but I just want to make sure that reporting is equal. What does the individuals, what does the Biden administration, what does this station say to the individuals that they lost 2 of their family members that were FBI agents? What about the officer that was beat to death with a hammer? All I'm trying to say is let's make sure we're not just focused.
This is the BS. See, this is what I was referring to when I was talking about backing the blue. We also had the DC police union come out to speak out against the sweeping pardons of the January 6th people who were violent, who were destroying government property, and all of the police officers that got injured. And he's friends with some of these people, and he's somewhat deflecting the conversation. Like, no, stand on what you said. Say, I'll put you down. That's what you said. Oh, this is our house. This is our house too. And you're trying to stop the peaceful transfer of power. Where are all the people that's backing the blue? See, I back the blue. Yeah, I back the blue, and those people who violently attacked and harmed police officers while they were in the line of duty, doing their job of protecting those Congress people and those senators, why they're not getting retribution, why they got pardoned. I told you guys, I disagree with the sweeping pardon of all these people. And that's okay. There's a lot of policies I agree that Donald Trump has signed, but this particular one, no. Because I'm gonna tell you something right now. People just want good policing. Like, you want to when you call a police officer, when you call the police, you want to come out to rectify the situation. You don't want any racial bias. You don't want any hidden bias. You don't want none of that. You just want them, hey, here's the issue. I need your help. Protect and serve. And while these police officers in line of duty were trying to protect and serve, now we have years later that Donald Trump won. I wonder, here's the thing. I wonder, everybody who's defending this, what if Kamala Harris would have won? I wonder what would have happened. Would Mark Zuckerberg change his stance from fact-checking on his website and changing over to what Elon Musk has done with community notes? Would he have done that? Would all the people who jumped on the bandwagon? See, that's the thing about big business and politics. They're one and the same. They're all in cahoots together, okay? Because all of them are getting filthy rich. But when it comes to this right here, the protection of citizens, the protection of our government, now you have people flip-flopping. I don't agree with it. And a lot of Democrats are mad over this. I necessarily don't know why. DEI really didn't help America. It didn't help America. Because the latest executive orders from former President Donald Trump, who's the new 47th president, he has sent ripples through both the government and private sectors, focusing on DEI. And this directive outlines several key measures aiming at reshaping how DEI initiatives are implemented across various industries. And a lot of people say that we can redefine the boundaries of affirmative action and diversity training, while supporters claim is a necessary step towards merit-based progression. I'm not against the merit-based progression. I'm not against the merit-based system. Yeah, you should go out here and work your ass off and get skills, licensing, certifications, and experience. So you're not being judged on anything about what you can do. Undeniably. But a lot of Democrats are mad over the DEI because not only did Donald Trump end the DEI, but he also, which was kind of a good faith measure, he told the Department of Personnel Management to put all personnel on federal staff who are part of these DEI programs on paid leave. So why did he put them on paid leave? Like, tell them to go home right now, but put them on paid leave. Keep paying them. I believe Donald Trump is going to give them anywhere between 60 to 90 days to find another job within the federal government or move to the private sector. That's what I believe. I think, again, he's not just throwing the baby out with the bathwater. He's not just firing these people. He said, put them on paid leave because we're going to deconstruct these DEI programs, but we're not going to just fire these people. They just, this is their job, but we're going to allow them to find another job within the federal government or the private sector. So again, good but bad for people who wanted the DEI programs, bad for you. But for those workers, at least he's doing the right thing and not just firing them and putting them out on their bottoms without getting paid. Now, another executive order action that is stemming from this, if the federal government is in contract with any private business that has DEI programs, He's basically saying we're going to end your contract. We're going to stop your funding if you don't cancel your DEI programs. Now that's scathing. That's very scathing because there's a lot of words to describe this. Some people like to say he's just bullying people, but he's very, very serious about eradicating DEI from America. And in a lot of businesses, I mean, a lot of businesses, Tesla, SpaceX, Blue Origin. I'm naming some very large companies, but there are a lot of large companies, insurance companies. All sorts of insurance companies have contracts with the federal government. So that means that a lot of these private organizations that say that we're still going to have a DEI program because he's just talking about federal now will affect that because, again, a lot of these companies get a large portion of their money, a large portion of their revenue from the federal government. He like, yeah, if you guys don't cancel your DEI programs, no more federal contracts, no more federal funding, no more federal support. So this is going to change a lot for a lot of people and a lot of these corporations. Now, the one thing I haven't heard yet, because you know that he has called for federal employees to come back to work, no more remote work. What if he did that for private corporations as well, stating that you would not get any federal contracts, no federal support, no federal anything if you don't bring all your people back to work? Now that would be madness, because now you can controlling the very framework how these organizations run. But again, he hasn't said that. That is my conjecture on the matter. Okay. Now, they're stating here how Trump is pushing limits of presidential power and a lot of the early executive orders that he has made, because, again, they're really talking about the birthright citizenship executive order. And I agree. I don't know. I haven't really combed through if it violates the 14th Amendment. But again, people are always using loopholes to get over on America. And just for you guys are thinking this, there's a lot of Americans who use these loopholes to get over on America as well. I know. I had to say it. And again, I told you guys initially he was threatening 25% tariffs. Now that number seems to come back down to 10%, what he originally said when he was running. But as he won, he was threatening 25%. Now we're back down to 10%. Okay. Let's see here. We talked about the January 6th pardons and how a lot of people are against this. Even a large portion of GOP are against this because, again, back the blue only when it suits you. You see that? Now, here's a letter. I'm going to show you guys this letter from the DC Police Union. Hopefully, you can see this on your screens here. Bear with me as I try to read. Now, this is coming from the DC Police Union. It states that the DC Police Union wishes to express its dismay over the recent pardons granted to individuals convicted of assaulting police officers during the January 6, 2021 riots at the U.S. Capitol building. See, the DC Police Union called it a riot. As an organization that represents the interests of the 3,000 brave men and women who put their lives on the line every day to protect our communities, our stance is clear. Anyone who assaults a law enforcement officer should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law without exception. I agree. As we grapple with this appointment, the DC Police Union remains committed to advocating for justice, not only for those who have suffered attacks in the line of duty, but also for those within our ranks who have been wronged by the system. To that end, we are actively working with the White House and President Trump to address two glaring miscarriages of justice involving DC police officers, Officer Terrence Sutton and Lieutenant Andrew Zabowski, who were wrongfully convicted of murder. These officers, men of integrity and dedication, were targeted by corrupt prosecutors who weaponized the legal system against them. The DC Police Union believes that pardon process can and should be used to correct such egregious errors. Chairman Gregory Pepperton stated, "We are confident that a thorough review of these cases will reveal the truth and restore justice for these officers, their families, and the communities they serve with honor." The DC Police Union is hopeful that the same measure of justice that was extended to the recent January 6th pardons will also be applied to right the wrongs. We remain steadfast in our mission to protect the rights and interests of all police officers and to ensure that justice is applied fairly and consistently. The DC Police Union will continue to fight for accountability, fairness, and the safety of our officers and the citizens we serve. That is coming from the DC Police Union. And they're stating that, wait a minute, you pardoned over 1,600 people, and a good portion of them entered the Capitol building, destroyed government property, injured and attacked police officers, but you didn't pardon the police officers who were doing their job in the line of duty. You see what I'm saying? That's why I told you guys I disagree with that from the get-go, because I've seen a lot of the January 6th footage, and not everybody was violent against police officers. Not everybody was destroying government property. Not everybody entered the Capitol, but there was a great number of them that did. Now, for those who attack police officers, as the DC Police Union stated, they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. I agree. How are these people getting pardons and you're not pardoning police officers who were standing in place, who were following orders? You know, it kind of reminds me of the military and how soldiers in the past mostly who were giving possibly an unlawful order, okay, that probably violated the Geneva Convention, but they followed an order for a commanding officer or someone who outranked them, and they became prosecuted because essentially you're supposed to know right from wrong. Even though you would have been thrown in a brig if you didn't follow that order, but you knew to your heart's core, going into this city and attacking this one town where the majority of the people are innocent civilians and deleting them all was wrong. You're like, but I was following an unlawful order. But you knew that was against the code of conduct. You knew that was against the Geneva Convention, but I was following a lawful order. Now, when it comes to the January 6th rioters, you have people who are unlawfully entering the Capitol building who were denied entry, who forced their way in. So these two cannot be conflated. These two cannot be compared. They cannot be. This is the letter from the DC Police Union. Good morning, Volvo. Good morning, that good guy. And I see Lee Catcher says, when you're going to talk about dirty cops who are caught on camera every day, yes, every day, who are protected by their dirty brothers. Let's see what else we hear. Why did the committee destroy all the tapes and interviews? That's a good question. And to Lee Catcher's point, there were a couple of officers initially they were inviting them in. That is true. They were inviting them in. But then it came a time where there was a large group of violent rioters that were coming in, where you see the DC police, Capitol Police, and other Secret Service police were trying to haul them off. At that point, no one turned around. But can you really control a crowd once you let them in? See, here's the thing. We can't let a couple of bad apples speak for the bunch. Remember that one spoil your apple, spoils the bunch. That's what Lee Catcher, in my opinion, is getting at. You have a couple of police officers like, yeah, you guys can protest, but you know, this stay right here. But then things got out of hand. You can't let the devil in and try to pray him out. You know, some people like, well, I'm going to go club on Saturday night. I'm going to do drugs. I'm going to have unprotected sex. And then I'm going to church tomorrow morning. No, you can't invite the devil and then try to pray him out. You guys have a great and wonderful day. I'll see you guys this evening. This is Blacklogic.